Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon your perspective. This is Dr. Von Plessner, the Defiance College, and we're talking about a case study, and we're using the Pelican stores file. And one of the things that we needed to do in the Pelican stores that we did last week is we found out what the net sales were for promotional or regular customers. Now, when we look at the database from the Pelican stores, we notice that we have a customer number, a customer type, when the type was regular or promotional, the number of items, the net sales amount, the payment method, the gender, marital status of the customer, and age of the customer. So one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting is that we could go ahead and show you how to use another Excel tool that would have needed to prevent us from doing promotional and regular sales and doing descriptive statistics as we did last week. So I'm going to suggest to you that in Excel you go up and click on Insert. And one of the most powerful tools in the Excel software is this thing called a pivot table. Now when you click on this pivot table, a dialog box comes up and several things have already happened. Number one, if you have your cell pointer positioned, and I'll stop doing that, and I'll just suggest that you click on cell A1, then you click on pivot table, and one of the things that Excel does is it selects what it thinks is the entire database range, and that database range is from A1 all the way down to H101. So it's a pretty large database, and as a consequence, where do we want to put the answers? It says choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. Now you can go ahead and say a new worksheet would probably be the best answer. So the radio button has already been selected, and when you click on OK, Excel is going to open up a new sheet where we can go ahead and put the answers that we want. Now one of the things that you can do is notice off to the right side it has the pivot table fields, and Excel uses the labels that were at the top of each one of those columns. And so we have customer, type of customer, items, net sales, method of payment, gender, marital status, age. And so as a consequence, we're going to go ahead and we want to find out information about the type of customer. So I'm going to click on type of customer, and immediately it put that down under rows. Now you could have just dragged the type of customer down to rows, and if you'll notice on the left side of the Excel spreadsheet, they have the row labels, and we have two kinds of customers, promotional and regular. Now one of the things that we can do if we want to go ahead and find out about the net sales for each one of the groups, I can go ahead and drag net sales. Now I don't want to use the filters on the right side in the controls area. I don't want to use columns. I do want to use the values. So I'm going to drag the net sale values down, and immediately Excel looked at the database table on the previous sheet, and it went ahead and did the sum of sales. Now that's interesting, but we really wanted to do the average. Notice in the bottom right corner of your screen that right now under values it says sum of values. If we click the drop down arrow, a dialog box comes up, and we want to go up to Value Field Settings. And so we click on the Value Field Settings, and up comes a dialog box. And right now the default setting is for sum. We could have chosen count or average. And the average is what the case narrative called for. So I can go ahead and say click on OK, and immediately it went ahead and generated the 84.29 average for promotional and 61.99 for the regular. And so as a consequence, we get a good idea of what's going on with very little work on our part, and we just use the pivot table.